Long, long ago in ancient Japan, people did not have money like we do today. If someone wanted to get something from another person, they had to trade. This is called bartering. For example, a fisherman might trade his extra fish for a farmer's rice. A person who made cloth could trade it for tools made by a blacksmith. This system worked for a very long time, but it wasn't always easy. You had to find someone who not only had what you wanted but also wanted what you had. It could be very complicated to decide how many fish were equal to a bag of rice, making every trade a big negotiation. As Japan started to have more contact with its powerful neighbor, China, new ideas and goods began to arrive. One of the most important things that came from China was money. Chinese coins, usually made of copper, started to be used by some people in Japan. These coins were small, round, and had a square hole in the middle. This made them easy to carry on a string. For merchants and powerful people, using these coins was much simpler than bartering. It made trading quicker and allowed them to store their wealth in a convenient way, which was a huge change from storing goods like rice or cloth. The use of Chinese coins slowly spread, especially in areas with a lot of trade and government activity. However, it was not a system for everyone. Most ordinary people in the countryside continued to use the old ways of bartering for many more years. They still traded goods directly with their neighbors because coins were rare and not part of their daily lives. The idea of money was still very new and strange to many. The Japanese government saw how useful coins were in China and realized that having their own money could make the country stronger and more unified, just like it did for the Chinese emperors. This growing understanding set the stage for a massive change in Japan's history. The government officials, who were learning a lot from Chinese culture and systems, decided that Japan needed its own currency. They wanted to control the economy and show their power. And making their own coins was a perfect way to do that. This decision would lead to the creation of Japan's very first coin, an event that marked the beginning of a new era. People were about to step out of the world of simple barter and into the complex world of money, all thanks to the influence from across the sea. In the year 708, something amazing happened in Japan. The country produced its very first official coin, called the Wadōkaichin. This was a huge step for Japan. The name itself is very special and tells a story. Wado means Japanese copper, but it is also the name of the era when the coin was made. The characters can also be read as harmony and copper. Kaichin means coin or currency. So the name proudly announced that this was a new Japanese copper coin, a symbol of the nation's growing strength and independence. It was a message to everyone that Japan was a modern and organized country. The creation of the Wadōkaichin was inspired by a happy discovery. Large deposits of high-quality copper were found in a place called Chichibu, near modern-day Tokyo. This was a cause for great celebration. The government, led by Empress Genmei, saw this as a wonderful sign. They believed it was the perfect opportunity to create their own money system instead of relying on Chinese coins. Having their own supply of copper meant they could control the entire process, from mining the metal to minting the coins. This control was very important for the government to manage the country's economy and show its authority. The design of the Wadōkaichin was very similar to the Chinese coins that people were already familiar with. It was a round copper coin with a square hole in the center. This design was practical because it allowed people to string many coins together, making them easy to carry and count. On the coin's surface, 4 characters were written: Wa, Du, Kai, and Chin. These were written in a clockwise direction. The simple, familiar design helped people accept and start using the new coin, as it looked just like the money they had seen from China, but this time, it was proudly Japanese. The government worked very hard to make people use the Wadōkaichin. They offered rewards to people who saved up the new coins and even gave official court ranks to those who collected a large amount. They also used the coins to pay government workers and for official projects. This helped to spread the coins throughout the country. The Wadōkaichin was more than just money. It was a powerful symbol of a new chapter for Japan. It represented the government's ambition to build a centralized state with a strong economy, all starting with this small but incredibly important piece of copper. After the successful introduction of the Wadōkaichin, the Japanese government continued to make its own coins for about 250 years. This period, from the Nara to the early Heian period, saw the creation of a series of coins known as the Kocho Junisen, which means the 12 imperial coins. Each time a new emperor came to power or a new era began, the government would often issue a new type of coin. This was done to show the power of the new ruler and to put more money into the economy. The first of these 12 coins was the Wadōkaichin, which set the standard for all the coins that followed. These 12 coins all looked quite similar. They were all made of copper and kept the classic round shape with a square hole in the middle, just like the Wadōkaichin. The names of the coins changed with each new issue, such as the Manen Tsuho and the Jingu Kaiho. However, a serious problem started to appear over time. With each new coin, the quality of the metal often got worse. The government started mixing other, cheaper metals with the copper to make more coins with less material. This meant that the newer coins were smaller, lighter, and less valuable than the older ones. People were not foolish. They quickly noticed that the new coins were not as good as the old ones. Naturally, they preferred to keep the older, more valuable coins and spend the newer, lower quality ones. This created a lot of confusion in the market. People started to lose trust in the government's money. Imagine going to a shop and trying to pay with a new coin, only to have the shopkeeper refuse it or ask for more of them to equal the value of an old coin. This lack of trust made trading very difficult and undermined the government's entire currency system. This problem grew worse with each new coin that was issued. The government tried to force people to use the new coins, but it was very difficult to change their minds. The value of the government-issued money kept falling, and eventually, the entire system began to collapse. People started to prefer other things for trade, like rice and silk, which had a more stable value. The dream of a strong, government-controlled economy, built on Japanese coins, was fading. The era of the 12 imperial coins, which began with such high hopes, was slowly coming to an end because of these quality issues. By the middle of the 10th century, the Japanese government faced a big problem. People had almost completely lost faith in the coins it produced. The last of the 12 imperial coins, called the Kengen Taiho, was issued in the year 958. But it was very low quality and nobody wanted to use it. The government simply did not have enough good quality copper anymore, and the coins they made were worth very little. Because of this, the government made a huge decision. They stopped minting their own coins altogether. This marked the beginning of a very long period of silence in Japanese coin production. For the next 600 years, Japan did not officially make any of its own money. It was as if the country's mints had all closed their doors and gone silent. This was a major step back from the ambitious goals of the Nara period. The government no longer had control over the currency used within its own borders. Instead, people went back to older ways of doing business. In many parts of the country, especially in rural areas, bartering became common again. Rice, in particular, became a very important standard of value. A person's wealth was often measured by how much rice they produced or owned, not by how many coins they had. This period without Japanese coins created a vacuum in the economy, especially as trade and commerce began to grow more complex. Merchants and traders needed a convenient form of money to do business, and bartering with rice was not always practical, especially for large transactions or long-distance trade. They needed something small, durable, and widely accepted. The Japanese government was no longer providing this, so people had to look elsewhere for a solution. This need for a reliable currency would soon be filled by money coming from a very familiar place: Japan's powerful neighbor, China. The decision to stop making coins was a sign of the government's weakening control during the Heian period. The central court was losing its power to the rising warrior class and wealthy landowners. They did not have the resources or the authority to manage a national currency system effectively. So, for centuries, the story of Japanese money became a story of foreign money. The silence from Japan's own mints was long and deep, and it would take hundreds of years and a completely new political landscape before Japan would be ready to start making its own coins again. During the long period when Japan stopped minting its own coins, trade with China was booming. From the Kamakura period through the Muromachi period, a huge amount of Chinese copper coins flowed into Japan. These coins, made during China's Song, Yuan, and later Ming dynasties, were of very high quality. They were made with good copper and had a stable value, which was a welcome change from the poor quality Japanese coins of the past. Japanese merchants, samurai, and even religious temples eagerly imported these coins to use in their daily transactions. They became the main currency of medieval Japan. These Chinese coins were called tosen or sosen, which means tang money or song money, even though they came from different Chinese dynasties. They were so common that they were used for everything, from buying food in the market to paying taxes and funding wars. The square hole in the middle made it easy to string them into bundles of 100 or 1000, which made counting and carrying large sums of money much easier. This flood of reliable foreign currency helped Japan's economy grow in new ways. It supported the rise of markets, merchant guilds, and bustling port towns all across the country. However, using foreign money also created some unique problems. Since Japan was not making the coins, it could not control the supply. The flow of coins depended entirely on trade with China. Sometimes a lot of new coins would come in, and at other times, the supply would shrink. Furthermore, so many different types of Chinese coins were circulating at the same time, from different eras and of varying quality. This led to confusion. People started to sort the coins, a practice known as erizeni. They would refuse to accept old, worn-out or low-quality coins, or they would demand more of them to equal the value of a good coin. This practice of erizeni became a major headache for rulers and merchants. The government and local feudal lords, the daimyo, tried to stop it by issuing orders that all coins should be accepted at face value, but these rules were very hard to enforce. People naturally wanted the best money they could get. This situation showed that even though Chinese coins were essential for the economy, relying on a foreign currency had its own set of challenges. The need for a stable, unified currency controlled by a Japanese authority was becoming more and more clear as the medieval period came to a close. After centuries of civil war, Japan was finally unified under the Tokugawa shogunate at the beginning of the 17th century. This new era of peace and stability was called the Edo period. The new government wanted to create a strong, centralized country, and a key part of their plan was to take control of the money system. They decided it was time for Japan to start making its own coins again, ending the long reliance on Chinese currency. In 1636, the government authorized the creation of a new standard copper coin that would be used all across the nation, the Kane Tsuho. The Kane Tsuho was named after the Kane era in which it was first produced, and Tsuho means circulating treasure or currency. This coin was a symbol of the new government's power and its determination to unify the country's economy. Unlike the imperial coins of the past, the Kane Tsuho was produced for over 200 years, becoming the most common and recognizable coin of the entire Edo period. Mints were set up in various locations across Japan to produce huge quantities of these coins, ensuring that there was enough money for everyone, from rich merchants in the cities to farmers in the countryside. The design of the Kane Tsuho was simple and effective, following the traditional round shape with a square hole. The characters Kan, A, Chu, and Ho were clearly written on its face. For the first time in centuries, Japan had a single, reliable coin that was accepted everywhere. This stability was a huge boost to the economy. It made commerce much easier and helped create a vibrant national market. People no longer had to worry about sorting through different types of Chinese coins. The Kane Tsuho was the standard, and its value was guaranteed by the powerful shogunate. Over its long history, many different varieties of the Kane Tsuho were made. Some were made of brass instead of copper, and others had different designs on the back, such as a character indicating the mint where it was made or a wave pattern. These small differences are now fascinating for coin collectors, but at the time, they were all part of a single, unified currency system. The Kane Tsuho was more than just a piece of metal. It was the financial backbone of Edo Japan. It represented the end of medieval confusion and the beginning of a new, orderly and distinctly Japanese economic world. The Edo period ended in 1868 with the Meiji Restoration, a time of incredible and rapid change for Japan. The new Meiji government wanted to transform Japan from a feudal society into a modern industrialized nation, just like the powerful countries in the West. To do this, they needed to completely overhaul the old and complicated money system. The Edo period had a mix of gold, silver, and copper coins with complex exchange rates. The new government wanted a simpler, more modern system, So in 1871, they introduced a brand new currency, the yen. The yen was designed to be a decimal currency, just like the American dollar or the British pound. 1 yen was divided into 100 smaller units called sen, and 1 sen was divided into 10 smaller units called rin. This was a huge change from the old system and made calculations much easier. The government established a modern Western-style mint in Osaka to produce the new coins. They imported machinery from Great Britain and hired foreign experts to teach Japanese workers how to make coins with precise modern techniques. This was a powerful symbol of Japan's determination to catch up with the rest of the world. The first copper coins of the Meiji era were for the smaller denominations, the rin and the sen. Coins like the 1 rin, 5 rin, 1 sen, and 2 sen were produced. These new coins looked very different from the old kanetsuho. They no longer had a square hole in the middle. Instead, they were solid discs featuring modern designs, like a dragon or a chrysanthemum flower, which was the symbol of the imperial family. The name of the country, Dai Nippon or Great Japan, and the year of the emperor's reign were also written on the coins in a modern font, showing a clear break from the past. This transition was not always easy. For a while, the old Edo period coins and the new Meiji coins were used at the same time, which caused some confusion. The government had to set official exchange rates to help people switch from the old money to the new yen system. Slowly but surely, the new coins replaced the old ones, and the yen became the one and only currency of Japan. This successful currency reform was a critical step in Japan's modernization. It created a stable financial foundation that allowed the nation's industry and economy to grow at an astonishing speed. As Japan moved into the 20th century, its coins continued to change with the times. The materials used to make coins were often affected by world events. During World War II, for example, metals like copper and nickel were desperately needed for the war effort, so the government started making coins out of cheaper materials like aluminum and tin. After the war, as Japan's economy began to recover and grow, the currency system was reformed again. The smaller units of sen and rin were eventually taken out of circulation because inflation had made them almost worthless. The yen became the base unit of currency. In the post-war period, a new set of coins was introduced, and one of the most famous and widely used is the 10 yen coin. The first version of the modern 10 yen coin was introduced in 1951. It is made of bronze, which is an alloy composed mostly of copper. This coin has become an icon of everyday life in Japan. It is used for small purchases, in vending machines, and for making offerings at temples and shrines. Its warm reddish-brown color makes it instantly recognizable to everyone in Japan, from young children to the elderly. The design of the 10 yen coin is especially beautiful and full of meaning. On one side, it features a detailed picture of the Ho-O-Do, or the Phoenix Hall, of the Byodo-in Temple in Uji, a city near Kyoto. This famous temple is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and represents the elegance and beauty of classical Japanese culture. The choice of this image connects the modern, everyday currency to Japan's rich historical and artistic heritage. On the other side, the coin shows the number 10 and the year it was made, surrounded by a design of evergreen leaves. Today, the 10 yen coin is an essential part of Japan's currency system. Although it is a coin of low value, its story is very rich. It is made of copper, a metal that has been used for Japanese money since the Wadōkaichin over 1,300 years ago. Its design honors a cultural treasure from the Heian period, a time when Japan's own coin production had faltered. In this way, the humble 10 yen coin brings together different threads of Japanese history. It is a modern piece of money that carries the weight of centuries of tradition, symbolizing Japan's journey from its ancient past to its prosperous present. The history of copper coins in Japan is like a long and fascinating story, with each coin acting as a small chapter. It all began with a time of simple barter, where goods were traded directly. The arrival of Chinese coins opened up a new world of commerce and inspired Japan to create its own money. The Wadōkaichin, Japan's very first coin, was a proud symbol of a young nation finding its footing. It represented the government's dream of building a strong, centralized state with a modern economy, a dream that was written in copper for all to see. The journey continued with the 12 imperial coins, a period that showed both the ambition and the challenges of maintaining a national currency. The gradual decline in the quality of these coins and the people's loss of trust tell a story of a government losing its grip. This led to a long silence of 600 years, a time when Japan's own mints were quiet. During these centuries, the economy was fueled by a flood of high-quality Chinese coins, showing how connected Japan was to the wider world even in its medieval period. The reliance on foreign money shaped the nation's economy for generations. The dawn of the Edo period brought a powerful new government that unified the country and its money. The kanei tsuho became the coin of the realm, a single reliable currency that brought order and stability after centuries of confusion. It was the financial lifeblood of a peaceful and prosperous Japan for over 200 years. Then, with the Meiji Restoration, everything changed once again. The introduction of the yen and modern Western-style coins marked Japan's rapid transformation into an industrial powerhouse, leaving the old traditions behind for a new future. From the ancient Wadōkaichin to the modern 10-yen coin, every piece of copper money tells a part of Japan's story. They show us the country's relationship with China, the rise and fall of governments, the challenges of economic control, and the incredible journey of modernization. These small metal discs are not just for buying things. They are historical artifacts that we can hold in our hands. They are storytellers, reminding us of the economic and political journey that has shaped Japan from its ancient beginnings to the nation it is today. A journey stamped forever in copper.